Hello, my name is Michael and today I'll be showing you everything there is to know about the nomadic government type in CK3. First off, nomadic government is supposed to represent the horse lords of the Eurasian steppe. In this region you're not supposed to develop land, build cities or generally play tall. Instead you're supposed to raid, pillage and take when you're strong and run away when you're weak. That being said, nomadic government allows you to build ludicrously powerful armies, and becoming the greatest of khans gives you access to special mechanics that make world conquest almost trivial. So in short, nomadic government is OP. It is locked behind the Khans of the Steppe DLC, so if Crusader Kings was a competitive game, this would definitely be a case of pay to win. To become nomadic, you must be tribal or landless. If you're tribal, you must control land within the Great Steppe region and not have your realm be too big. Then you just take the decision and boom, you're a horse lord. If you're landless, it's even simpler. You just walk into the Great Steppe, into a county held by a herder, pay a little bit of prestige, and you're off. Okay, so what is the Great Steppe? It's the region your nomadic playthrough will revolve around. It covers the area from modern-day Ukraine all the way to the eastern edge of the map. You can expand it a little bit through decisions if you conquer the area in question. It's only within the Great Steppe that nomadic characters can migrate. There are some game rule settings that will add mini-nomadic regions all over the map, in Africa, Arabia, Scandinavia and Tibet. But these really aren't the main focus of everything the Khans of the Steppe DLC adds. These mini-nomadic areas don't, for example, have an equivalent of the Greatest of Khans mechanic. And also, nomads from one nomadic region can't migrate to another. At least not the usual way. The worst thing you might notice is that on the map, nomadic realms have strange names like Khazars or Diogus. That's because the top title in Nomad Government is named after the culture of the holder, and if there are multiple realms with the same culture, then the weaker realm will get its name from the combination of its ruler's dynasty and his culture. Like here you have the Bulgars and the Rasate Bulgars. And just like with clan government, the flag of the realm is the same as its ruler's coat of arms. The Great Steppe is divided into 3 subregions: West, Central and East. Each of these regions has its own season. These aren't real seasons, they change for each region every 10 years, and what season is next is entirely random. The only way to maybe tell what season is next is by appointing someone to the Stargazer court position. I don't think you should worry over much about predicting the next season, just wait and see what season arrives and act accordingly. Each season has various effects on different parts of the game, from warfare to your subjects and to nomad exclusive mechanics like herd and fertility. Those last two are probably the most important, and you want to be in the region where the current season improves fertility and herd gain, like everlasting summer or abundant grazing. There are also a bunch of bad seasons you want to avoid. These are severe drought, cold Zud and white Zud. They have an increasing penalty to fertility. And worst of all is Hafsarsan Zud, but it can only happen once per game. The opposite to that is the Blessing of the Sky season, which can also only happen once, but it massively boosts fertility. So, fertility. It gives herd, and it represents how much there is for your herd animals to graze in a given county. In-game, it's shown by this bar that goes from 0 to 100. The higher the fertility, the more herd you get. Each county has its own fertility growth and fertility consumption. Based on them, the game calculates fertility equilibrium. You can see it by looking at the arrow here, and it shows you where the county fertility will stabilize. Fertility growth and consumption are modified by seasons, your character's skill, buildings in your nomadic capital, but most importantly is the number of counties in your personal domain. The more of them you have, the more fertility growth you get. This makes it so that smaller nomadic realms should migrate often in search of counties with high fertility, while more powerful rulers can live off of their own domain. Herders are an unplayable government linked to nomadic. They appear when a nomad migrates away from a county, and they increase county fertility to 100 and wait to be displaced by a nomadic character that's gonna consume it. They can't declare war or hold more than one county, and you can always just ask to take their lands. So fertility is important because it gives herd. You also need county control, or else the amount of herd you get is reduced. But what is herd? Basically, it's everything to a nomadic character. You don't get any money from your domain or your vassals, you get it primarily from herd. Your herd is also your army. You don't have any levy, instead, a portion of your herd is directly converted into horde riders when you raise your army. Careful though, the horde riders that die in battle or due to attrition can't be converted back into herd. Horde riders are already stronger than basic levy, but you can spend some money to upgrade them into unique for nomads men-at-arms. And these guys are strong, just look at those stats. Remember, this is what you have access to at the start of the game, while all those feudal and clan kingdoms are struggling to hire heavy infantry. Supposedly, a downside is that you can't hire onagers, only these torchbearers which are weaker siege men-at-arms. But you can hire the men-at-arms that your subjects have access to, so you can always migrate to the edge of the Great Steppe if you need to, make some one county chieftain there a tributary, and you can have your onagers. Herd is also the main thing you need to go up in dominance. Each level has a higher herd threshold you need to reach, and dominance is like crown authority, but also more than that. It's like what level of dominance you are is more important than what your highest title is. It's dominance that increases your personal domain and vassal limit, in addition to the usual being able to imprison characters and retract vassals. But it also determines what your highest title can be. At the first level of dominance you can only be a count. Second allows you to be a duke. Third lets you have a kingdom. And fourth allows you to be emperor. The fifth and final one lets you become greatest of Khans. But more on that later. You can't just create a title as a nomad. If you reach the necessary dominance level, you have to take the dominate title decision. You can take it from the decision menu or from the title creation window. What happens then is you fight everyone that has territory in the de jure land of the title you are trying to dominate. You can make that war easier by conquering as much of that land as you can beforehand. You can also ally or tributize any rulers you don't want to conquer. If you win the war, you'll have gone up in rank. This is pretty easy to do when you're going from count to duke, but you might need to be careful when you're going from king to emperor. That brings us to tributaries. They are part of the Khans of the Steppe DLC, but it's not just nomads that get to make tributaries. Other governments can do it too, but it really isn't meant for them. When a tributary ruler dies, his heir breaks free of their suzerain, and the suzerain can't do anything about it except fight another war. It's different for nomads. First of all, nomad rulers don't have to fight wars to get tributaries, they can just ask. And if the target is weaker and afraid, they'll accept. The only way a nomadic tributary can break away is if they think they can win a war against you, and if they do try and break away, you get a retaliation CB against them, allowing you to take some herd and increase their obligations. As a nomadic ruler, you can also demand herd from other nomads, whether from subjects or foreign rulers, or you can give herd to increase their opinion. And there's also a scheme to steal herd. This is very useful in the early game, but it becomes obsolete as you start getting way more herd from your lands and subjects. But what to do if you're the subject? Well, nomadic vassals can just ask their liege to become tributaries. And when you're a tributary, you are technically independent, and you can just migrate away. Migration is what being a nomad is all about. It's about being able to pack off and leave for greener pastures. Literally. With other government types, you're kinda stuck in a given area. And if you wanna become powerful, you need to destroy, outlast, or take over whatever giant empire is there. As a nomad, you can just leave to the other side of the continent, build a giant empire for yourself there, and come back and show him who's boss. In addition to running away from more powerful characters, you also want to go where there's a lot of fertility. Though as I said, as you become a king-level ruler, you don't need to migrate for fertility, and you should be able to fight off almost any other nomad by that point. When you migrate, you will get some settlement issues. These are basically like governance issues in administrative realms or contracts with adventurers. They're there to help you get some extra fertility and county control. Dominance level is important when migrating, as depending on what level you are, you could be migrating to a county, duchy, kingdom or an empire. Though if you migrate as a kingdom or empire, you will still only end up controlling a duchy on the other side of the migration. When migrating, the game will find the most powerful ruler in the de jure territory you are migrating to. If you can convince them to let you do it peacefully, you just migrate without war. But if not, then you need to fight them. Similar to when you're dominating a title. Except you don't fight everyone in the territory, just the most powerful ruler. All the counties you leave behind are transferred to newly generated herders. Some of your vassals might migrate with you, where they'll set themselves up as your vassals in the new land, but your tributaries stay behind. And they'll probably break away, because not being connected to them is another thing that might make them stop paying tribute. There's an interesting interaction that happens when you migrate into lands that used to be someone else's tributary. You basically get asked if you wanna become the new tributary. You can say no, but you better be able to win against the retaliation war. So that was a lot of new mechanics, but there are also some old mechanics with new nomadic twists. Starting with the Nomadic Capital. It's the same as an adventurer's camp or administrative ruler's estate. You have the main building, in this case the yurt, and you have slots for optional buildings. What makes Nomadic Capital different from the other two is that every single building can be upgraded with up to 6 different rooms, and each room can be upgraded to level 6. Nomadic capitals are therefore the most robust of this type of personal holding. That's probably important since as a nomad you can't actually build anything on the map. All your nomadic holdings are called nomadic settlements, and they don't provide anything except herd through fertility. There's pretty much any bonus you can think of available in some upgrade of some building in a nomadic capital. You can improve your army effectiveness, gold income, herd gain from counties or vassals, herd capacity, how much of your herd is converted to horde riders, and a lot more. Another small adjustment is the Nerge. It's a special kind of hunt only nomads have access to. You should probably be doing it as often as you can. Having the prolific hunter's cultural tradition is very useful for that. If successful, the Nerge is a way to convert a small amount of herd into prestige, legitimacy, opinion with your subjects, stats, and sometimes commander traits. You do need to succeed at the Nerge, but in my experience, martial characters never have trouble succeeding, and the more you Nerge, the better you are at Nerging. So even if you fail the first couple of times, you should continue trying. That does remind me, martial is by far the best lifestyle as a nomad. It will allow you to win all the wars you need, steal herd from your neighbors, and generally make your life easier. Raiding is also expanded with Khans of the Steppe. Now you can set your raiding intent so that you can either gain more gold or more herd, have a higher chance of capturing characters, or even gaining innovations, at just the cost of raiding speed and army movement speed. And there's the adventure raiding intent that allows you to raid wherever you want without attrition. This is good for raiding outside the steppe, as nomadic armies never get attrition for moving through uncontrolled counties within the steppe. But your armies can still die from not having enough supplies, so be careful about that. Some other adjustments for nomads are the increased dread cap. With 150, it's much easier to terrify people. There is also a Nomadic Dynasty Legacy, with a bunch of useful bonuses. Nomadic rulers get the way of the nomad trait, giving them some different faith and culture opinion, as well as the ability to become adventurers. I'm a little surprised this isn't a leveled trait like the governor one, but I guess giving nomads even more bonuses would be over the top. As for nomadic CBs, they have access to all the conquest ones, county, duchy and kingdom once per life. There's the retaliation war I mentioned, over an Kingdom CB that allows you to attack a non-nomadic realm, and if you win, you settle in their land. There's a Humiliation CB that's mainly there to take a bunch of herd from someone else. And there's the Sovereignty War that allows you to steal someone else's tributaries. Nomadic peasant rebellions are ludicrously dangerous. Those weak subtle peasants are just dudes with farming tools as weapons. Nomadic peasant rebellions spawn with like half their number being horde riders, and the other half are actual nomadic men-at-arms. You must be careful when crushing these guys. And they're particularly dangerous for settled rulers. Nomadic peasant uprisings pop up from nomadic settlements, and they'll do it far more if their liege is not nomadic. So if you're trying to expand into the Great Steppe from the outside, be ready to spend a lot of money feudalizing settlements. When nomads expand into settled lands on the other hand, and you end up controlling a castle, city, temple or tribal holding, you can raise it for some gold. Every time you raise a holding, you reduce the buildings level in it by 1. If you remove all the buildings, the next time you raise that holding, you will completely destroy it and turn it into a nomadic settlement. But you can only raise a barony once every 5 years. Nomadic councils are different from all others. The spymaster and spouse positions are still there, but everything else is different. The other 4 positions aren't different from each other like in settled governments. They're all the same Kurultai position, and each Kurultai member has access to a bunch of different jobs they can perform for you. Which job they're good at depends on their skills. Some jobs can only be done by one Kurultai member at a time. These are domestic affairs, the same job a chancellor has, organize raiders, and explore culture. Other jobs can only be done in one county at a time. These are increase county control, the same job a marshal has, manage fertility, and exploit lands. And 2 of the jobs can be done by all Kurultai members at once if you want. These are aid stargazer and support herders. Now you might have noticed this little puppy symbol next to the characters. They represent whether the character is obedient to you or not. All of your courtiers and subjects, including tributaries, are either obedient or disobedient to you. Obedient characters are less likely to plot against you, and obedient tributaries won't break away. Surprisingly to me, whether they are obedient or no has nothing to do with how much they like you. It's a factor of their personality and your dominance, as well as the season. To turn a disobedient character obedient, you can try and negotiate obedience. If you can overcome base reluctance and their personality by bribing them with gold and herd, you can make them obedient. If your dread is over 45, you can try and demand obedience. Here, the base reluctance penalty is lower, and your dominance level has a higher impact. You can't bribe them, but you can use a hook if you have one. It's important to have your Kurultai members be obedient to you because of Kurultai succession. It's the nomadic succession type, where you choose a child to inherit all your titles. If all your Kurultai members are obedient, there isn't a problem. If some of them are disobedient, you'll have a chaotic succession, where you will get a negative event and lose some of your prestige or herd, or something else that's not too bad will happen. Apparently, if most or all of your Kurultai members are disobedient, you could have your top title be dissolved, or you could lose chunks of your empire. But I've never seen any of that. The worst that ever happened to me was losing a bunch of herd. Not sure if that's a bug or what. Another way you could influence the people around you is through the blood brotherhood mechanic. It's very situational when you can make someone a blood brother, but if you do, that's basically a combination of best friend and political ally. Each character can have only one blood brother, and they can't be actual family of each other. To convince someone to be your blood brother, you need to be at least around equal strength, have a common enemy, probably a common rival or enemy in a war, or have some other connection. Probably the most reliable way to make someone a blood brother is to have them already be your friend when you ask. And finally, let's go over the nomadic decisions. There are some interesting ones, like Desperate Times, that you can only take during the Hafsafsamzad. It makes all your subjects obedient, and it says it gives you access to the invasion CB, but as a nomad you already have it. It doesn't even let you use the invasion CB again if you take the decision after you already invaded someone. So that's a little weird. With a level 5 Nomadic Dynasty Legacy, you can do Peace of the Great Khan, which gives you city holdings in your realm, allowing you to actually get some tax money. If you're the Gurkhan, in other words, the guy with the most herd on the entire Great Steppe, you can establish the Paisa system. That allows you to basically make anyone obedient in exchange for giving them the ability to steal herd from your other subjects. It also gives you the ability to take the next decision: summon wealthy visitors. This is required to build some of the best building upgrades in your nomadic capital. There are decisions to stop being nomadic. Even though you probably could just be a nomadic realm till the end of the game and be fine, nomadic government is locked in the tribal tech era, just like tribal governments, so you might want to stop being nomadic because of that. You can settle the steppe. Depending on your dominance, you can either turn your nomadic realm into tribal or feudal or clan. If you conquered some non-nomads and you have them as your vassals, you can take the move to conquered lands decision to displace your vassals and take their government and realm for yourself. And this isn't a decision, but you could use the Overrun Kingdom CV to do basically the exact same thing. And then there's Confederation, which isn't unique to nomads, but it was added with the Khans of the Steppe. It allows Count or Duchy level rulers who are either tribal or nomadic to band together in a special kind of defensive alliance. Attack on one is an attack on all, and they can absolutely be a bulwark against your expansion or migration. They can even unify the Confederation into a kingdom by clicking the Elevate Confederation button. Funny thing is, this usually makes them much weaker. And the final boss of being a nomad: become the greatest of Khans. To take this decision, you need, among other things, to have the top level of dominance, for which you need 75,000 herd. Taking the decision will start a war between you and all other rulers in the Great Steppe, plus one powerful realm from the outside. If you lose everything, but if you win, you become the Khan of Khans. This gives you a bunch of bonuses, plus new special troops. They offer submission or ruin interaction with other independent rulers, where if they accept they are immediately vassalized by you, and you get the Nomadic Onslaught CB. With it you can take an entire realm, not a kingdom, not an empire, but the entire realm. On top of that, you also get all the titles that the defender had, and the titles of their most powerful vassals. From the day you become the Khan of Khans, you have 75 years to take the Reform the Great Khaganate decision. If you don't, your realm will be split into new Khaganates by event. But if you do, you get to unite all the kingdoms you control into one de jure empire, and you get to choose what kind of government you want your reformed empire to be. You can leave it as is, you can make it feudal or clan, you can make it administrative, or you can burn everything down and make it so that even your new settled vassals become nomads. In conclusion, nomads are extremely powerful, and becoming the greatest of Khans is absurd. If you wanna do a world conquest run, doing it this way is objectively the optimal way. And that was all you need to know about the nomadic government in CK3 Khans of the Steppe. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.